let's dive into it right away. The top 10 teams as I see them in the country, and I start with Indiana. Congratulations, Indiana. They're playing so well. Tom Allen brings so much energy to that program, right? He's done a marvelous job. He's a former high school football coach in the state. He's re-energized that program really for the first time ever. Won 8 games last year, the most in 26 years. This year, they've beaten Penn State and Michigan in the same season for the first time in their history. They're going to have Ohio State next week, a game that we'll have on Big Noon Saturday. So no look-aheads, Indiana. Let's make sure that we're getting to that Big Noon Saturday game against the Buckeyes with that perfect record intact. Michael Penix Jr., by the way, has been outstanding throwing the football. They threw it for over 300 yards against Michigan and held Michigan to only 13 yards rushing. Georgia, I kept them in the top 10 only because they're insanely talented and they're a quarterback away from being a national championship contender. If they play any of these teams in the top 10, they're going to have a chance to win. And even after that loss to Florida, I kept them in there. I mean, it's so clear that Kirby just needs to evolve offensively and develop one of these offenses that we're seeing at these other schools, and they're going to be right there. At number 8, I've got Cincinnati. How good of a job has Luke Fickell done? Back-to-back 11-win seasons. Now they're perfect this year. They've got a pedigree that they could very well be one of those teams that is or has an argument for the college football playoff, although the Notre Dame win over Clemson does not help their cause so much. That's a very good defense, and I love watching Cincinnati play, so good on them at 6-0 at number 8 in the country. At number 7, I'm going to go with BYU, and a lot of people are upset that I've got BYU over Cincinnati. I think that the difference is that I think BYU has the better quarterback. You know I'm a quarterback snob, everybody. I'm a quarterback elitist, and Zach Wilson's a Heisman caliber quarterback. He's played phenomenally well for BYU, and I get it that Boise didn't have their normal lineup, and Brock Myers not in there, and yeah, they had injuries at quarterback, but my goodness, folks, BYU went up there and on the blue turf handed the Broncos their worst loss at home since the 90s. So they're doing something right. So good on Kalani Sitake, the head coach of the BYU Cougars. He's done a heck of a job there. At number 6, I've got Florida. What a win that was against Georgia, and resounding too. Kyle Trask is playing unbelievable football. I talk about Zach Wilson playing Heisman caliber football. That's clearly the case with Kyle Trask as well. Hopefully Pitts is not banged up too much after that ridiculous hit that he took over the middle. But Florida, that offense just too much for Georgia to handle, and Kyle Trask playing at an elite level there for Florida. The team that beat them, though, is one spot ahead of them. I'm always going to honor head-to-head, so Texas A&M is at number 5. And Texas A&M right now dealing with a bit of a COVID issue. They had to pause team activities. We'll see how that affects them moving forward. But that's a really good football team. Remember, Kellen Mond has played a ton of football for Jimbo Fisher. And Jimbo Fisher, he's only lost 2 games in his tenure with the Aggies against teams that were non-top 10 teams. They don't have a ranked team left on their schedule. I think Auburn might sneak into the rankings, but there's a good chance Auburn's not going to be there after they have to play Alabama. So A&M looking like they're a team that could, if they get all of their games in, wind up 9-1, and they would have an argument for the college football playoff. Interesting note there. Clemson at number 4. Listen, you can't win and stay up there. I don't care who's not playing. So they go down to 4. Notre Dame goes to 3. That big win I'll talk about in just a moment. My top 2 teams are Alabama number 1 and Ohio State number 2. Real quickly on those 2 teams, Ohio State, Fields playing ridiculous football. He right now is the Heisman Trophy frontrunner. I know Florida fans are going to have a problem with that, in particular because Fields has only played 2 games, but Fields is playing insane football right now. And yet Alabama, at least in my estimation, is still the most complete team in the country. Their defense has come along playing better here in the middle part of the season. We know how potent their offense is under Mac Jones, who also, by the way, playing Heisman caliber football. But let's go back really quickly to that Notre Dame-Clemson game. The reason Notre Dame didn't get more of a boost for beating Clemson is because Trevor Lawrence wasn't on the field, and maybe more importantly, you didn't have James Skalski, Tyler Davis, or Mike Jones on the field in the defensive front 7 for Clemson. It's one of the reasons why Notre Dame ran the football so effectively. I do give Notre Dame a ton of credit. Obviously, they got the win, and it was a gutsy win in double overtime. And their game plan was perfect. You got a true freshman on the field, no matter how talented Uyunglele is, you let him beat you. And that's essentially what they did. Etienne was not going to beat them. Etienne doesn't even get, I think, over 28, 29 yards rushing on the day. He wasn't as big of a factor. He didn't touch the ball in the second overtime, and they allowed Clemson to get loose in other areas so they would make sure ETN wasn't the factor in that game. So it was a great game plan for Notre Dame, and now they're in a driver's seat for a playoff appearance. So good on them. It would be their second in the last couple of years. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.